fun to play with you. Okay, so my question is about contrast, and it is, I was trying to think of how to frame the question, and I think the easiest way to put you in context of where I think my mind is at most around it is with relationship. And so it's interesting that you spoke earlier about memories. And so I'm wondering about, like, when I think of someone from my past that I came in contact with, and I did the observe and choose, okay? So I, like, felt good, and then I saw things that were like, not so much. And so it was like, I was able to decide what I loved about the relationship, and then what I didn't want, meaning what now I will be looking for in my future relationship, okay? And so I decided to leave that relationship behind because it caused enough of that clarity in my observe and choose stage. I gained enough clarity to where I was like, ooh, now I'm excited about the next person.
Before you go there, we would want to bring your attention to something, and that is about that future relationship you talk about. We just want to make sure that this past relationship, this now relationship, this future relationship has nothing to do with the mirror that's in front of you, being this person or this person or this person. It is your future experiences, your preferences about future experiences of you. This is what you're talking about. As long as you're talking about you, making this clarity and then leaving the relationship or staying in a relationship, it is always relationship with you. So in those terms, you can never really leave a relationship because you can never really leave a relationship within you. You can just choose which mirror you give your attention to get more feedback about you and about you and about you and about you. So speaking of future relationships, you're talking about your future experiences. In other words, you're talking about your own steadiness within you, that your past experiences caused you to find new steadiness, to be on a search, to be on a lookout, to be putting your senses out for more and more ease and steadiness within you, so that when future mirrors come back to you, you have more and more ease about that. But we also want, before you continue, to bring to your attention that more steadiness you find within you, you want a mirror that is going to allow you to steer it up. But because every interaction, every exchange of attentions between focusing mechanisms gets you to find more and more tools about your own steadiness. We just want you to understand that those future relationships, those future feedbacks that are coming from those future mirrors that you're going to be choosing with your attention are going to give you still this dance between question and answer. And those stubborn mirrors are always there to get it. But your steadiness and your evolved feeling of relationship within you is what brings you more ease to navigate through that mirror. So it's not really about the mirror, it is about your own steadiness in navigating what feedback you choose to see to reflect back to you from that mirror. We thought that would be interesting for you to hear before you continue.
Yes, of course you did, because you know, and that is very interesting. And I guess my question is, other teachers have taught me that, you know, if you look back on something and you feel like there's a little bit of like longing or uneasiness, and it's just a quick pivot in your mind about like, let's just focus on what I loved about it, positive aspects, and then move forward. And I'm wondering about when we actually choose to look and see the positive aspects, knowing that when we feel the satisfaction in those, then we are setting ourselves up to be ready for the next. But the thing that I struggle or find the question about is when I focus on the positive aspects of that person, even though that makes me feel good, now I'm drawn back to the condition of that particular person. And so I want clarity on where's the line between those two things? How can I still go, ooh, I loved it, and it was juicy, and it was fun, and I can't wait for another, and I'm finding my joy in it, but then, oops, now I'm focusing on the actual conditions of that particular human being when I'm really wanting to look at the feeling above the conditions, right? So I just need clarity on like...
So the clarity that you're looking for is really about understanding that these conditions of that person had nothing to do with your experience, regardless of that experience being satisfying or not so satisfying. Within every experience that's on perimeter of you, there is no such a thing, as we described to a friend earlier, as complete ease that you feel within you, because these interactions are catching those questions to be opened up and then discovery on new answers and more answers. So you're not trying to now take that feeling and put it into new conditions, because new conditions had never anything to do. They had never anything to do with your experience. It was always your choice based off of this condition being the mirror, being the person that is reflecting this back to you at all times. So it was really never about condition. It was only about your steadiness. And then there is nothing for you to separate in this feeling, because you know, and as you see that it's always your doing of your attention and your own steadiness within question, answer, dance, then you know that conditions do not matter. Oftentimes, Kosta will have these thoughts, have these conversations, as he would understand that he would ask the question, well, would that then mean that I can really be a life partner, or I can really get along with just anyone else? And the honest answer is that yes, because if you can get along with everyone else, if you can find that feeling of satisfaction with everyone else, then you can find that ease so steadily within you that whatever you give your attention, whatever is that you give your attention, reflects back to you more of your steadiness, because that's always the case. Now, of course, it's not as satisfying to have that, because it's not satisfying to be shifting your attention about partners so much so until you find that steadiness. It can be very helpful as you're finding the steadiness and making preferences. But we want you to know that it does not matter if it's a one partner or partners being changed. It is only about the steadiness of you and how much of the next you and the next you and the next you and the next you get. As in the feeling of movement of your attention between your question and answer vibration, you're always at all times making choices. And as the person is more steady, and that's why this is exciting for so many people. It is so exciting for so many people to be with one partner for longer periods of time, sometimes during the most part of their iteration, is because in those experiences there is nowhere to hide. There is nowhere to hide within you when you're so steady within you that this person that knows you so well will bring so many questions to you. It will bring so many interactions, because you will know that there is no just easy way of switching attention to something else and something else and something else, because this stubborn mirror will have you ask those deeper questions our friend was talking about. Will ask you find easier answers, because that intensity of movement, that feeling of intensity in the most positive way, this excited, exaggerated feeling of movement, this loop being longer but with a quicker movement, and that energy feeling and moving happens with so much more excitement when that mirror is more and more stubborn. So that feeling of condition of that person has nothing to do with that. You could technically go back with that person and be a completely brand new, or you can go to some other person and be again brand new, because at all times you're anyway brand new. So it's always really and only about your choice.
Yes. I love that so much. And I've known that for most of my life. Somehow innately I knew, even before it was articulated by those like you, about how it really truly is just about us in the relationship. It's not about the other person. It's about what we are discovering within ourselves. And that's so good and good. Can I ask just one more fun thing? It's not even on the same topic, but I'm just curious. Like, even though this is a virtual experience, I'm just curious. Like, can you tell us what you see in us when we speak with you? Like, can you sense our vibration? Can you feel our own little inner being? Like, what is it that you experience when we converse with you? I'm so curious.
We want you to know that this is conversation between you and you. That Kosta allows this flow, allows his physical vessel to be so steady in the place of everything that exists, that reflection back to you sometimes can be easier to see what you already have within you. That is all that is happening over here. These are your reflections of all of the thoughts on variety of them, and sometimes they're stirred up in a question place because sometimes these experiences have you formulate the question, actually always have you formulate the question. Sometimes you start about receiving an answer and then you have another question as you had a follow-up question. Sometimes it's just there to get you to formulate the question, hear an answer, and then after get more and more questions. But it's really only about reflection. You're having conversation with yourself because, as we often say, we all are one. There is no separation between what you call little inner being, because that little inner being that you talk about, that little part inside within you, is everything that exists. You have access to everything that exists. So we would not really call it as little. If anything, we will call it infinite.